This is Off Topic, a show where two men with the attention spans of a squirrel try and fail to stay on topic with today's subject. Where will their oral meanderings take us? Well, stick around and listen, because today's Off topic is the conclusion to our series on 9, The Last Resort. In our first episode, we name-dropped all sorts of celebrities lending their vocal talents to Robert De Niro's pet project. Did it pay off? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, so stay tuned. So anyways, where we were at was with Jim Cummings, famous for doing a lot of voices. There's actually one funny line. He plays T-Bear, one of the muses, which is a giant teddy bear that's smoking a cigar. And he has this one line, and it's, mine is the sole Earth species named by a gap-toothed conservationist warmongering chief executive. Obviously talking about Teddy Roosevelt. One of the other muses you'll meet is Lucille, who is an anthropomorphic guitar woman with long legs kind of deal. She's voiced by another voice acting legend, Tress MacNeille, who's known for the voices of Dot Warner, Daisy Duck, Babs Buddy, Mom from Futurama, and Agnes Skinner from The Simpsons, and a whole lot more. In fact, her career, as far as I can tell, goes back to the very early 80s when she voiced the fries from the Happy Meals gang on the McDonald's commercial. Yay! Also back in the 70s and 80s, she was a member of the Groundlings Theater, along with Cassandra Peterson, a.k.a. Elvira. Check out that episode. You like how I'm tying all this back to other episodes?
Yes.
Yes.
Go back. Do homework.
Yeah, right. Yes. Everybody, go check out these episodes. So, also, too, this character is kind of cringy because back in the day, PC games did kind of like try to separate themselves from like consoles by being like somewhat a little more mature or naughty or putting in like dirty jokes here or there. I don't know if you remember that, but it usually didn't come across. Yeah, it didn't really come across good. Well, this leggy guitar anthropomorphic thing is our taste of that in this game, where basically she sends you on a quest and she's like, ooh, I lost my G string. Can you go get my G string and then you can tune me up? And you're just like, oh God. And then you go get her missing G string because, you know, you get it, Nate? G string? Because guitars have G string and underwear. Come on. Yeah, okay. You're right to boo that. But then you get her G string and you take it back to her and you get to quote unquote tune her up. And as you're tuning her up, you know, she's saying like suggested stuff like, ooh, you twang my strings just right. Or, ooh, don't push me so hard. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah. They could have done without that. But a lot of games for some reason did that back then just because they wanted to be like, hey, look, we're for the 18 and over crowd, sort of. Also, as a side note, Lucille was B.B. King's guitar name.
Yep, that's the first thing I went to. Was like, you said Lucille, I'm like, oh, huh, there's a B.B. King. I was expecting like, you know who voiced it? I was like, B.B. King? But no.
Yeah, that actually would have been pretty cool. That basically kind of holds up our little star-studded lineup of people. And as far as the game got received, mixed reviews from critics. The critics really liked the artwork and style, and they were not fans of the obtuse puzzles, though. But that's kind of how all the Myst games and their knockoffs got reviewed. It's like, hey, this is a really pretty game. Too bad the puzzles suck. Her.
Well, I mean, I get that, like, yeah, you know, stupid reviewers, but at the same time, no, seriously, like, what am I supposed to do with this? Yeah, I have got a stick in one hand, a jar of peanut butter in the next, and there's a caterpillar in front of me. What do you want me to do? Like, how am I supposed to beat this puzzle?
Yeah, right. First, you get down and pray to the caterpillar, and then a giant moth comes out of the sky, and then you give that moth the peanut butter, and then you go on another quest, and you're like, what?
It's like, don't you know, in the guidebook that came with the thing, you need to get some lemon juice and squirt in the front so the invisible ink they put on there can reveal the not the actual thing, but like it'll reveal a clue, and then you take that clue, you drive to Washington D.C. At the foot of Abraham Lincoln. There's a 6-digit code. Like,
but you gotta remember to do this between the hours of 7 and 9 p.m. in the game time, otherwise it will not work. I hated it when they did that kind of stuff. Or sometimes those games would even tie stuff to like the real world clock, and it's like, well, you gotta do it while it's daylight out in the game in real life. You're like,
I hated that.
Shut up.
I hate that so much.
Yeah,
I mean, it is kind of fun to play with that. And for instance, the Metal Gear Solid 3 is if you know there was this enemy on there called the End. He's this old man sniper, and I fought this dude like I just couldn't beat him. And I finally decided to cheat, which actually is not good because if you cheat, then you won't get his gun. But like the way you cheated was you went into the PS2's internal clock, and if you pushed it forward 2 years, then you load back on there, and he was dead. He died of old age.
I remember hearing about that. I never played part 3, but you know,
it was pretty sweet because I like that. But then again, like what you lost, it was actually better to beat him. Like for real,
yeah, it's better to tough it out.
Yeah, because that gun he got you was actually pretty fucking sweet. And there was another one. Oh, and then last one, Fable 3, you could do that. If you move the time clock forward, then all the rent that you got would all be like back paid. So you load back on there, because you could own properties and collect rent. Next thing you're like, oh, I'm a millionaire because according to them, 4 years passed.
Some computer games way back in the day that let you do that too. Anyways, back to the game. So critics didn't really like it because, yeah, I mean, like all Myst games, basically, like I explained, you meet all those muses, you solve their puzzles, then you go meet the bad guys at the end, and you basically just kind of outsmart them by once again completing a puzzle. I will say at the end of the game, though, there is like one shooting sequence that looks god awful because this game was not meant to be a shooter.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's sort of like one of those little arcade things where little rats slide out from the side of the screen and back in with little targets on them. And I watched that poor dude do that, and he's like, "This is not fun."
Yeah.
Yeah, the controls aren't too responsive.
I hate it when things are like relying on controls that rely on, skill, not just skill, but also like speed. And the game wasn't initially designed for that.
Sort of like if you're playing the first Resident Evil game and it's like, run through this obstacle course right now with tank controls, and you're like, no, this is awful.
Well, it was tank controls and a fixed camera. It's like, dude, no. Like, I mean, obviously I have to do it to beat this game, but fuck you guys for making me do this.
Oh yeah, and also, do you want to know how the game ends? By the way, Nate, after you like finish all the puzzles and solve everything.
How's that?
It ends with a musical number with Jim Belushi actually flying around singing along with all the other guys, and you get this nice long musical number, basically be like, "Hey, look, you won, but you didn't do it on your own. We helped." That's pretty much the end. Yeah, you can actually go on YouTube and look up the ending song. It's something.
That makes me just as bitter as the end of Ocarina of Time. Like, Zelda's like, "Thanks for helping us beat Ganon." I'm like, helping you? No. I beat Ganon. You came at the very last minute and blasted him with, I don't know, hope or whatever. But like, if you're the person who like took him down blow by blow, it was me. So don't you take that away from me. Helping me.
That's what is being royalty is. You can rewrite history the way you want.
Helping. I'm still bitter about that. 20 years later, I'm still like, helping. I helped you. No. Helping.
I just picture you seeing that line in the game, and you know how Stewie does that slow head turn to the side to be like, "What did you just say?"
Yeah,
I picture you doing the exact little same thing, just like, "What?"
Obviously, I still care because to this day, when someone mentions like something like that, I'm like, "Let me tell you about a game called Ocarina of Time. Listen to this crap this stupid ass princess said."
When you go to all that effort and everything, you just feel slighted by an ending. You got every right to, just be like, "Hey, wait a minute, what happened there?"
It's like, you may have been running around as chic or whatever, but like the person who took this butthole down was me. You did nothing.
My favorite ending in a game was pro wrestling on the NES, because after you beat everything in there, it just had a picture of your character in the middle of the screen with his arms up, and it says, "A winner is you."
Oh, that's amazing.
Another good one too was POW at the end. It just had a picture of your guy and said, "Congratulations." Not congratulations, congratulations.
Or bad dudes. Don't forget bad dudes. Thanks for saving me, bad dudes. Let's go get a burger from Ronald Reagan. It's like, okay. Maybe a little more than that, because I did just save you from ninjas on a helicopter. Right. I mean, and I just with my bad attitude and my feet. So you give me something.
Bad in these games. They do make you feel kind of bad.
Yeah.
Or even worse, it was like the old Atari 2600 games where you get to the end of the game and it just immediately just restart and loop you back to the beginning. Sometimes it'd play a little bit faster though.
Yeah, that's worse. I mean, at the very at least Ronald Reagan has invited me out for a burger instead of like, "Oh, now the game's over, starting all over again."
That was fun. Let's do this again. Try to beat your score.
Like, that's not how game works.
So the sales for this game were not good, even with all the star power. And also, part of the star power, too, probably had a reason why this game didn't do good, because it had to cost a lot to get all those people in the studio.
Yeah.
So the game basically tanked, caused Tribeca Interactive to completely close up shop, and this was the only game to the studio's credit. Sad times. The Robert De Niro gaming experience did not last long. As far as the publishers, GT Interactive, who did Doom 2, well, they would go on to publish Quake, Driver, and the first Unreal game before being bought out a few times, and now they're part of the Atari umbrella.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're still around. Yay. Hooray for a company still being alive, sort of.
Kind of reminds me of the Kings of Reckoning Amalur or whatever.
Oh, yeah. That was done by that.
Yeah, that baseball player. But I actually picked that up recently. Like I re-downloaded it, and I was like, I'm gonna play this, and I forgot I actually started a game on there. Like, you want to continue? I'm like, yeah, I guess. And and I'm like, oh, okay, have a character that I forgot I made, and I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know. The game is fine, but just I have a bunch of quests that I don't know. I don't know why, or just I don't even know what's going on. It has some. I just don't care. So
Yeah, I started playing it again too, just like I was like, all right, this is kind of fun, but I feel like I have better games I could be playing with my time right now.
But yeah, just like I mentioned, like you just said, like that baseball player did it, and apparently they got in trouble too because they got like was it Rhode Island to invest in it? Was it Rhode Island?
Or Jersey, one of those places, yeah.
One of those places, and then they got like they went. Obviously the game didn't do very well, and they went bankrupt. And then the state was like, "You tricked us," and they're like, "No, we didn't. This is just how gaming works. Like we rolled a die and we lost." So
also they might have stiffed some of their employees too on paying them.
Oh, for real? Okay, that's
I
not
think
cool.
I could be wrong on that, but I know the whole thing was a big old cluster.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like getting money from the state, or in terms of either like tax write-offs or like just straight up like here's money, that sucks that didn't happen. But not paying your employees, that's a line.
Yeah,
Like you got to pay your employees, even if your game tanks, you still need to pay your people.
Tax write-offs are what got Uwe Boll all his movies. Did you know that?
I think I heard about something like that, and that would make sense because man,
Uwe Boll, in an interview, they're asking him like, Uwe, why do you keep making these bad movies that obviously are going to tank? And he shouldn't have done this. But he's like, there is a law in Germany where if you shoot a film in Germany and you loses money, they will pay you money to make it back, and you wind up making more money in the long run writing a stinky bad film that will bomb and have the German government reimburse you than you do writing a good film. And they're like, really? He's like, yep, I've made so much money off the German government doing this. Shortly thereafter that, they changed that law so he could not do that anymore.
Yeah, of course, as they would, you moron.
Yeah, I have no idea why he said that, because he literally just went line by line. He's like, oh no, if you make a horrible movie in Germany, they pay you so much money because it's German culture or whatever.
And that's also kind of like the idea behind the producers. I think the logistics are different, but the play/movie producers.
Yeah,
it was the same thing. You make more money off a flop than you do of success. Mm-hmm. So of course their problem was they intended to make a flop and they got a success, so they were in trouble.
Yeah, and all sorts of governments offer tax breaks for people making movies too. Because back in the early '90s, maybe mid '90s, there was actually quite a few movies popping up in Seattle all of a sudden, as actually being filmed in Seattle. Like Sleepless in Seattle, and I think Assassins with Antonio Banderas and a few others.
Yeah.
But the reason they were shooting up here all of a sudden is because Seattle was like, hey, we'll give you a bunch of tax breaks if you come up here and start shooting here and bring us exposure to the city. And they're like, sweet, we'll do that. But then all the Seattle residents were like, we're not giving tax breaks to Hollywood people. Screw that. So they repealed the law, and not many movies get shot up here anymore.
Yeah. The only thing I remember about the movie getting shut up there, and to this day, it still cracks me when I think about it. It was a Sylvester Stallone movie, and I can't remember what it was. That was
Assassins with Antonio
Are you
Banderas.
sure? Well, because I don't know. I think it was late. I think it was after that.
Might have been.
Because I think he was like some kind of hitman. It was like had something to do with his like daughter or someone getting kidnapped or whatever. But anyway, there was a scene in the movie where there's a high speed chase. Again, let me repeat this: a high speed chase through the city of Seattle, where underneath the oh man, the word lost. I totally
the convention center.
No, monorail, underneath the monorail.
Oh yeah.
Can you for even a second imagine having high speed anything under the on the road underneath the monorail?
Yeah,
no. Your high speed would be like 5 mile an hour with plenty of stops.
yeah. If you go any faster than that, you're gonna hit somebody. So
you're best doing a foot race. That's but man, I still remember seeing that scene in the movie. I just died laughing. I'm like, oh, that is. You brought me on the movie. I suspended my disbelief because only so far, but once I saw that, I'm like, nah, man, it just doesn't. It doesn't work that way.
One of the busiest streets in the town of Seattle.
Yeah,
city of Seattle, and here we are having a high speed chase. No,
yeah, denied.
We made a deal about the high end name talent and the voice acting for this game. So, how much did this help the game? You think? How good of a job they did? I thought, as a big fan of the voice acting community, I was going to rate their performances from best to worst for funsies.
Yay!
Yeah. Best, Jim Cummings, who plays, T-Bear and all the others. He's the voice of Winnie the Pooh and such. From what I've heard, he does the most roles of anybody in this, and he nails them all, which is not unexpected at all because he is literally one of the best voice actors out there. And he had already been doing it for like 20 years at this point.
A celebrated voice actor did well. Well, I mean,
Yeah, right?
yeah, it's like, I don't mean to knock it, but yeah, of course he did.
Yep, imagine that. Second place, Tress MacNeille, the other voice actor. Even with those cringy innuendo lines, she does a really good job. And once you actually know it's her, you hear her talk, you're like, oh, that just sounds like a young version of Skinner's mom. It's kind of fun.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yep. At third, we have Steven Tyler. With his nice upper range voice and his ability to deliver a really good evil guy cackle. He does a good job as the leader of the Toxic Twins. And some of his lines are kind of delivered a little bit rough, like, you can tell he's not really a voice actor, but he sounds like he's at least having fun with the role and doing a good job. So I appreciate that. Actually sound like you're enjoying doing your job when you're doing stuff like that. Kind of goes a long way with me.
Yep.
Number 4, Jim Belushi. Even though he's basically doing just a Jim Belushi doing a John Belushi impression, he does nail it. Nothing exceptional though. And he kind of delivers all his lines with sort of the sense of, yeah, we're all doing this in one take so I can get my check and go to the bar, all right?
Yeah.
Let's get this done. Yeah.
If you interrupt me, then that's staying in because I'm not doing it again.
Right. It's like, then that's the take you get. Yeah. That also does seem like a Jim Belushi thing to do, to be honest.
Yeah.
Everything I've heard indicates he's kind of a jerk.
Which, again, it's like, why? What does it cost to at least be somewhat nice?
Yeah. David Cross has a story about Jim Belushi being a douche in front of him.
Yeah, I believe it. David Cross is not exactly one known to keep his opinions to himself.
Yeah, I guess the story is like David Cross was shooting something with Jim Belushi, and one of Jim Belushi's or David Cross was talking to a fan, and they were like, "Oh, I love Jim Belushi, blah blah blah. Me and my dad used to watch blah blah blah. Big fan all my life." And David Cross was like, "Hey, I'll introduce you to him." He's like right over there, and he takes over there. I guess she was like some 20 or 30-year-old girl, and he's like, "Hey, this is a big fan." And Jim Belushi just looks like, "Don't bring me a chick unless she's gonna suck my for me, all right?" And then just walked off or something like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was just, and apparently David Cross just standing there feeling really awkward. He's like, "What a horrible thing to say in front of a fan." But anyways, Jim Belushi, jerk.
Yeah.
5th place, Cher. She has a lot of lines, but she sounds so bored in this thing. She just literally just like, "Hello, would you like to save your game?" Her singing's good, but my God, she just sounds like she does not want to be there.
Doesn't want to be there, doesn't want to participate. She's like, I'm here for a favor. And
she's like, Robert De Niro's got those pictures on me, so I need to at least do this, and then he'll burn them. Okay.
I'll give you 2 takes. I'm not going to be as jerky as this other guy. I'll give you 2. And
but I'm not going to like it.
Yeah, I'll give you 2. And if neither one work, pick the best one.
6th place, Joe Perry. He sounds like he's kind of having fun with Steven Tyler, but also his only noises are him making that warble-gorbly noise out of his little mouth instrument. And it's hard for me to rate a guy very high when all his lines are just like 4 lines of blah, 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 blah. But the fact he just shows some energy going blah, 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 blah means a little bit to me. And that puts him miles ahead of 7th place, Christopher Reeve. Absolutely one of the worst voice acting jobs I've heard in a while. He literally sounds like he drank a Bill Cosby Quaalude milkshake before shooting this. It is bad. He's like, "I am the owner of the resort. Open the door and read what I have inside." It is the most lifeless thing I've ever heard. Maybe if I was in the room with him, I'd be like, "Ooh, look how brooding he is while he does this." You can see the emotion on his face, but you sure can't hear it in his voice. So yeah, he sounds like he's either just bored out of his mind, doesn't care, or he's having a stroke midline every delivery he does. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. Especially considering he's probably the most talented actor out of all these guys, considering, he did, Broadway plays and this and that.
Yeah, it just sounds like he didn't care.
Yeah, it sounded like he didn't care. My theory is, maybe that horse he was riding that fateful day was a fan of this game and didn't like his performance and decided to give him a what for. So, there you go. There's your tasteless joke for the episode.
But
Yep. It's fun to make fun of paralyzed people, especially when they're dead and they can't fight back.
If they're paralyzed, they probably can't fight it back anyway.
Yeah, this is very true. You just stand 3 stairs up from them and just mock them.
Or give them the whole Mac and Me treatment.
Mac and Me?
Yeah, Mac and Me.
Yeah, I do remember that, but I know what you're referring to.
Remember the kids in the wheelchair and he falls? I don't know if anybody pushes him, but he goes down the cliff.
Oh, yes. Okay, now I remember. Good times. Oh, 80s movies. What they wouldn't show. So, one thing I did this list is to show something that I've heard a few times from production folk and people making movies and stuff. When making a project, you get a much better bang for your buck hiring a celebrity, an actual voice actor as opposed to a celebrity to do the voices. Because even if you get a good performance from the celebrity, it's still going to cost you 10 times more than getting somebody like Jim Cummings or Tress MacNeille. The example I actually heard, that I've heard this a few times. If you're making a cartoon and you want like a Chris Rock character, you can either hire Chris Rock for a few $1,000,000 to get him in the studio a couple of days, or you could hire Phil Lamar, who does almost a perfect Chris Rock impression, and just pay him, 1/20th of what you'd pay Chris Rock, and have that money for other stuff to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Like making a good game.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And this isn't an isolated example either. There's plenty of voice actors you can hire for pennies on the dollar as opposed to, hiring somebody expensive.
Because I mean, a lot of times, especially if they're like doing their jobs being actors, you probably wouldn't even recognize them, unless they're there to be themselves. Like, yep. Hi, I'm Cher. I want you to know I'm Cher. So, or I'm Christopher Reeve. I want you to know I'm Christopher Reeve. So I'm just gonna, be me and to say things. In fact, I might even come out as like, "Hi, I'm Christopher Reeve." I mean, Julius.
Yeah.
Whoever.
A couple of good examples are the genie from Aladdin, Robin Williams in the movie, Dan Castellaneta in the TV series. They're not that far apart from each other.
They weren't.
No, they really weren't. And what was the other one I just thought of? There was another Disney one where it's just like, oh no, Osmosis Jones. I believe it was Chris Rock that did the voice in the movie, but I think it was Phil Lamar that did it in the TV series. Also, they sound almost exactly the same. And can you guess which one was a lot cheaper to hire?
Oh yeah, Phil Lamar, easily.
Yeah. So my point being, if we ever make an animated movie or something, we are not hiring big name people. Plus, also you got to deal with like egos and stuff too a lot of times.
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah. I mean, because working with voice actors, you're going to get a better performance and save money, and you're not going to deal with those egos unless they're like, I'm really big in the voice actor. Then like, well, they'll get another different one.
Yeah. Apparently, too, just because you're a good actor on screen doesn't mean you're a good voice actor either. I heard Rob Paulson, famous voice actor. They did a Lord of the Rings game, and I guess they got the dude who played Gimli to go in and do a bunch of lines, but he was so bad at it they had to hire Rob Paulson to go in and redo all the lines afterwards because like none of them were salvageable. Because the dude just could not talk clearly and just kind of mumbled and didn't care. And
well, I think the big thing, he didn't care.
Yeah.
He'd been around for a while. I think he was done with that character. I mean, I like some of that. I like the roles this guy's done, but I'm like, dude, get his sliders. I like sliders. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on sliders, but we can all agree it wasn't like a great show. And, and he's done a bunch of other things. I mean, where it's just like, come on, man. Like, I need you to take a good hard look at yourself. You've been in some fantastic things, but those things weren't fantastic because of you. They were fantastic and you contributed.
Yes, but they were not fantastic because of your solo role.
It wasn't you.
Yes. Yep, it wasn't you. You just hadn't been something really good, and you contributed well. Good job on that. Yeah, you are not responsible for that being a great show.
Right. You did totally, like, dude, mad respect. Totally, you did great doing that. But that, like, maybe take it down a notch.
Yep.
Or 5.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes they just get high on their own supply and, never come back down from that.
Is he still alive?
I think so. I honestly can't even think of his name off the top of my head.
Well, I actually I'm looking up now, and what I did was I was looking up Lord of the Rings, because that's the first thing I think about. He's not even the top. Come on, man. It's Gimli. He's John Rhys Davies.
There we go.
And of course, when I think of him, I always think of Indiana Jones. I mean, Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria. He was in that 2023. I think it's probably what you just talk about. I mean, he hasn't done. I mean, he's done a lot of crap. So I don't know where his ego comes from.
Yeah, probably just longevity in the industry. I've been around for 30 years. Name another actor who's done that, and you name like 30, and they're like, shut up.
Yeah, I mean, again though, I he's fine. I like him well enough. I don't have any hate towards this dude.
Yeah,
just to hear that he has.
He seems like he seems like he'd be a kind of a pain to work with sometimes.
Well, I mean,
do you know who I am?
He's still alive, by the way. But he, I remember that. I heard that story. They were talking about Lord of the Rings, where he was playing. He was doing the battle things with the stuntmen, and they're like, stuntman's like, okay, we're gonna do this, but try not to hit us. And they're like, he would hit him every time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just showing not respect for your stuntmen and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Steven Seagal is notorious for doing that too.
Who?
Being like Steven Seagal.
Well, yeah, but Steven Seagal. I mean, while I have respect for this dude, I have no respect for Steven Seagal.
Is it because he thinks he's above the law? Anyways.
Why not? I mean, and I used to like him. I liked him for a hot minute until I started finding out actually like who Steven Skull was. You
Yeah.
know, once I actually found out who he was, yeah, my respect was gone. And especially nowadays, you turn me on to those. I haven't seen him in a while, but like those videos, like Steven Skull movies, more recent ones, he won't run. He
Yep,
doesn't.
he sits for most of the movie, and they'll have a stuntman like go upstairs for him real quick.
Yes, I was just thinking about that scene where he's like start walking, and then clearly a stuntman who looked almost nothing like him runs up the stairs, and then cut to him on the top of the stairs. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
Yep, and then halftime is like, I'm just gonna sit in this chair with a sniper rifle and pretend I'm shooting at people,
or do an entire fight scene sitting in a chair.
Yeah, yes, he did do that too. It's like, oh, come on. But then again, if they're willing to pay me to sit in a chair and pretend fight, I guess I'd do it too. Maybe.
I mean, yeah, why not? I mean,
yeah. So basically, this game tanked Robert De Niro's dreams of becoming a giant video game baron. Baron, is that the right term? I don't know. Philanthropist. So, and actually, this is kind of where the game ends. But I do have one fun ending fact featuring Robert De Niro and Tribeca Productions. So, Robert De Niro founded Tribeca Productions. Tribeca Productions is responsible for the Tribeca Film Festival. Did you know that? Robert De Niro basically is like in charge of the Tribeca Film Festival. This April 2024, the Tribeca Film Festival will be holding De NiroCon to honor and celebrate Robert De Niro's 80th birthday. Congratulations on the birthday self-filleting, Robert. You've earned it. Yes.
Yay.
The film festival that Robert De Niro runs is running a tribute to honor him.
Of course they are.
I don't know. It just feels like that meme you see where it's Obama putting the medal on himself.
Well, I love Robert De Niro there. I love you like, oh, poor, he was so heartbroken. His, video game didn't go. And it was like, oh, he went back and got into bed and crawled in bed with all this money and Oscars and
right. Poor dude. It's a rough life. Him and Rosenthal, they just had to cry on top of their giant pile of money.
He's like, screw this. I'm going to my own personal island and tweeting about bad things.
Yeah. Although I did see an interview with Robert De Niro, and he did actually seem like he was kind of interested in making video games because he was talking about how he likes video games as a medium because you can do more in a video game with like background stories and the immersion and the environment than you can do in a movie in certain regards. So yeah, I saw an interview and he was talking about video games kind of like he did have an interest and was kind of hoping this would work out. He was like, video games are kind of this new frontier of a new way to medium of telling stories, and you can do this and this, and you can't do that in a movie. So that was actually kind of an impressive thing to see out of him.
Yeah, I mean, I have not heard. I mean, he's been there forever, so I mean, he's not like a crystal clean record, but by and large, I heard he's not terrible.
Yeah,
you've definitely heard of bigger AAA stars who are way worse than anything I've heard about him.
And Rocky and Bullwinkle. How could a bad man be in that movie?
His most famous role.
Yep.
Moose and Squirrel.
Moose and Squirrel. So, there we go. We now know everything there is to know about 9 The Last Resort. Literally, because there's not a lot of info out there about this game. Pretty much everything we went over today. Well, unless you want to get into the actual game mechanics itself and the actual individual puzzles, which are, one bummer thing about this game is you're supposed to go around and collect all sorts of items to solve these puzzles. You can only carry one item at a time, Nate.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh, God, that is such a bad way to artificially inflate the length of a game kind of thing.
That's the worst.
Oh, it really is. And also these kind of games, too, it's literally you'll pick up an item and they'll be like, a sound happened somewhere. But, and then you got to like backtrack everywhere being like, where did it happen?
I hate that. Or it's like, this door unlocks from somewhere else. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, where?
Yeah, at least give me a hint or something.
Something. Anything.
Yeah. So, Nate, did you learn anything about 9 The Last Resort?
No, nothing.
Nothing at all?
About,
all right, cool.
What is this 9 you speak of?
It is a movie from the early 2000s featuring, God, what was his name? Not Michael Cera. Did you ever see that movie 9, the computer graphics one? It was based off of a short film that was on the internet.
No, that I haven't. But in reality, like this game, actually, it looks pretty interesting. I wouldn't mind, like, I don't know. Like, I say that, but I don't know if I'll ever do it. But, like, it sounds like something I want to boot up and just try out for a sec.
If anything, look up screenshots of the game, because the artwork is really cool in it, and I really enjoy it. And it does not have an overabundance of those weird lolly goth girls we talked about, and we're like,
yay.
Yeah, right. But I had the same reaction to you when I was flicking through all of them. Like, hey, those are cool. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, all right. A lot of them are fine, but some of them were like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, like, some of them, and also the number of them and kind of stuff. Some of them I feel like it's like, I made this as a commission for a businessman in New York. And you're like, yeah, all right.
I made this for a brothel in Bangkok.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're like, you shouldn't be saying that so proudly, sir.
Yeah, that's something on the DL.
Yeah.
There are things you say, there's things you don't say. That is on the don't say list.
Okay. 9 was a 2005 animated movie. No. It's computer animated and starred Elijah Wood, John C. Reilly, Jennifer Connelly, Christopher Plummer, Crispin Glover, Martin Landau, and Fred Tatasciore.
Which also had a video game called Nine, which when I first looked up when I was trying to find the Nine video game, like to quickly Google, just have some images to reference. That came up first.
Did that actually have
It was a mobile game.
Oh, okay. I actually did not know that. Yeah, the movie Nine, it's pretty good actually. It's also kind of short too. I think it's just barely over 79 minutes, so that's not bad.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it is pretty good though. I like it. It's not really a happy movie. It's kind of one of those post-apocalyptic, everything's kind of depressing things going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, even look at the animation, like those dolls, like, oh man, that's not.
Yeah, but honestly, I recommend it. I don't know if the girls would like it or not. Maybe. It was based off of a short film that somebody put online, and yeah, it kind of just blew up from there. Unfortunately, the movie didn't really make a huge splash, but.
Yeah, I mean, some of those, like, I don't know, those stop motion-y type, even if they're not actually stop motion-y, but the stop motion-y looking type movies don't usually do fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they do. I mean, that Kubo and the Two Strings was fantastic. It didn't do very well.
Oh, yeah, I need to watch that. Any studio like a movie's good, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also helps that the person who's running it is like the son of a billionaire. So they're like, oh, it didn't make any money. Who cares? I'll make another one. Who cares?
Yep.
I just like doing this.
It's a passion project. Yeah. That's got to be kind of nice when you're just like, oh, well, I got the money. Just kind of go do what I want at the moment.
Like the movie bombed. What movie? The movie you invested $50 million in. What?
I did. Yeah, what? I did. What?
Oh yeah, I forgot I did that. Yeah. Let's do another one.
Yep. That's probably the conversation that Robert De Niro had over that game. Hey, remember that game you dumped the money into? What? You formed a game studio. I did. Was I drunk? A little bit.
Right. Like, didn't you notice that you missed a bunch of money? You're like, no, sorry. Like that I actually was in a positive that year, so I just didn't even think.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, I didn't check my investment account the last few months. I mean, that thing just kind of sits there and makes money. And you just stare at them like, you son of a bitch. Dare you be better off than me? So. We're all done now, Nate. Yay!
This is where the ending jingle goes. This is where the ending jingle goes. I don't know if we need one. I don't know if we'll get one. But if we do, then here is where it goes.